Hi folks, thanks for joining me for this week's stillwater tutorial. For those that follow the channel, you'll know that I was at Grafham last week fishing for the shrimp feeders, and one of the things I noticed when I was doing some photographs of the shrimp was how quickly they move and how much movement they generate full stop. So what I thought I'd do is I'd tie a fly that would imitate that movement. So without further ado, let's get into it. In the vise then is a Hanak H230 barbless hook. This one's at size 10. It's a black nickel hook and it's on a medium wire. The thread I'm going to be using is a Semperfli 12-0. It's fluorescent orange. Now before I go on, I would recommend using an 8-0, but I only have the fluorescent orange in 12 and I really want to use this colour. So first thing I'm going to do is get plenty of wax on to my thread. And I'm going to catch it in just behind the eye and run a bed of thread down the shank of the hook. When I get to approximately where the barb would be on a normal hook, just take away my waste. A friend of mine sent me this cape. Now, he didn't have any use for it, and to be perfectly honest with you, it sat on my bench for some time. But having a closer look at the feathers, I noticed that it's got these lovely marabou, what some people would describe as the waist part. But what I'm going to do is take the waist part from both sides, try and marry them up, and I'm going to use that as a tail. So I'm going to catch that with the tips. If you've got too much waist here, just trim it away. Then come in with your thread and trap in the fibres. Now it doesn't need to be a massive tail, it's just to give that impression of a tail and the movement it's going to generate. So I'll just tidy that up a little bit and leave my thread there. Next I'm going to tie in the rib. I've got some Celtic Blob, and this is the fine oval tinsel. It's gold, fluorescent gold. And I'm going to catch that in the length of the body on my side. So I've cut it in and I'm going to go down to the base of the fly. Next then, I'm going to use my traditional Troutstalkers. This is the natural boosted. I do use it a lot. It's because it's very, very good. And if I had my feet to the fire and somebody said you can only use one dubbin for the rest of your fly tying, I think this would have to be it. I have gone through packets of the stuff over the last few years since discovering it. It's a great dubbin, it really is. So a little bit onto your thread, and then you can come up your body and just at the thorax finish up. Then bring your olive rib in the opposite direction. I'm going to put 4 turns into this body and then lock it down with my thread. Okay, a couple of turns in front and you can remove your gold rib. Okay, so far so good. So the same feather that I took the marabou for the tail off, I'm going to now snip out the very tip section. I'll just do it slightly off camera, but I will dress it up so you can see. So what I've done is I've taken out the tip section. Next, with my thumb and forefinger in my left hand, I'm going to grab a few of the tips, so I end up with that. Then once I've got that, I'm going to just bring it in to where my thread sits. Now, using the thumb and forefinger of both hands, I'm going to just get it sitting where I want. Then in very loose turns, I'm going to try and lock that into place. Now, the reason I'm using loose turns here is if you tighten down on it too hard, what you'll find is your feathers splay out too much, and I don't quite want that. I want a little bit of feathers here for movement, but I don't want it splaying out too much. Next thing I'm going to do is bring in the thorax cover. I'm using some of this Uni Mylar. It's dual purpose. It has peacock on one side, and if I can turn it round, orange on the other. So it's got lots of uses. I do like these materials that you get more than one sort of use out of, and this is one of them. Next, I'm going to catch in with the orange uppermost, like so. Then I can simply come in with a little bit more of my scruffy dubbing. Now the thorax area, it needs to be a little larger than the body, but it still doesn't take a lot of dubbing to achieve that. So just be careful not to go overboard with your dubbing. That's looking okay. Now you'll notice that I have left quite a bit of area at the front because I've still got to get my front hackle in. So next, my thorax cover comes over the top. And what this does is just give a little bit of glint. If you're fishing in on a nice day and it's bright sunshine, you want the light to go through the water and just give that little hint of light. I just think it gives a fly a lifelike appearance if it's got a flash, a glint of light hitting off a reflective material. So again, back to our cape. So this time I've selected another feather for the front hackle, and what I'm going to do is catch in the very tip with my hackle pliers, like so. And then I can pull back the fibres to leave a tag, and I'm just going to catch that tag in now. One of the advantages of using the 12-0 is you've got plenty of room for error with your turns, so you can get a lot more turns in without worrying about bulk. Catching the tip end, then bring it over, encouraging the fibres to go to the rear, and then I want to get at least 2 turns here. Some of these longer fibres sweeping back, and then once you've got that in, bring your thread over to meet your hackle. A few locking turns in there, a couple in front, then you can remove your hackle pliers if you've used hackle pliers. Some people like to use their fingers. I can't quite get on with that. So keeping tension on your thread, wet your thumb and forefinger of your left hand, slick everything back, and then create your head. Now once you've got a reasonable head there, what you can do, keep tension on your thread, get your waist end, pull that away, and it'll come off no problem for you, as long as you've got tension. Of course you can always whip finish first and then remove it, but I just like to get it out of the way so I can see what I've got for a finished fly. Then bring in your whip finisher, like so, and you can add a little bit of head cement, Sally Hansen. I'm going to use some Solaris Bone Dry here just to finish off the fly. And the Semperfli fluorescent orange, it's not the brightest orange I've ever seen, but I just like the shade, and that's why I'm using it. rather than an 8/0 that would have made my life a much easier for tying this flag, to be perfectly honest. But there we go, pulling shrimp. It might not look like any shrimp you've seen with an orange head, but trust me, I think this is going to go great guns the next time I'm off at Grafham. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you got something out of that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please think about clicking the button. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you all next time.